Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Front Porch Talk. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and at the moment I seem to be alone here. Most of my co-hosts seem to be needing a bit to get in here because, we're getting ready and we're running a little bit late. However, I'm going to go ahead and start the show without them, and they should be getting here shortly. Alright, so tonight's topics are... 9/11. We're also going to discuss the corporal punishment changes in a school in Georgia. We are going to discuss a case in Texas of illegal voting. And we're also going to go ahead and discuss the flag because there's been a lot of controversy on the flag that has been going on lately, and I figured a discussion about it would be a good thing. So we're going to start here with the first and foremost, which is the fact that it is an anniversary of the 9/11 attack that happened many, many years ago that started us off in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Hey, Irate Prostate, how you doing?
Good, man. What's up?
Well, we're just getting started here. So I first wanted to discuss the fact that it is the anniversary of the 9/11 attack on New York. And I think a lot of people have forgotten just what's happened in the past 10 years or so because of this attack. And the fact that we still have troops out in Afghanistan, we have troops in Iraq still. Shoot, we've got troops in Syria now.
Yeah.
And we still have issues with the fact that there was the Patriot Act, the Patriot 2 Act, and so many expansions of government power because we let ourselves get scared.
And a reduction of freedom.
Oh, yeah.
For the individual.
Very much so.
You know what was so great about that? You know, at the first, when we reacted as a people, we were united. There was no such thing as fucking identity politics, calling the shots as to how people reacted to each other. We had a common enemy and a common goal. It reminded me of just a lot like, the way America was, right after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And then the aftermath with all the reduction of freedom and the incessant war. I just, for lack of just a more creative way to say it, it's just the military industrial complex has been well rewarded, and there's a bunch of people that are have fucked up lives and shit, and we're still out there, and I don't know what the objective is anymore.
Well, a lot of the objective realistically wasn't very clear.
Mm-hmm.
The big problem is we're trying to fight an asymmetric warfare technique with traditional warfare. And that just doesn't work. Okay? The idea that you can declare war on terror was a bad idea. You can't declare war on an idea.
Right.
You can declare war on a group of people. You can declare war on a nation. But declaring war on an idea, that's a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And too many Americans got drawn into that demand for security.
Right. You don't fight an idea with fucking guns.
Yeah, you don't fight an idea with drones and bombs and tanks on the ground.
Exactly.
You have to fight an idea with education, with discussion, with debate, with exposure to other ideas.
Exactly. And open debate and just and it takes decades if you really want to defeat an idea. I mean, it's just it's fucked up. Hey, Cass.
Hello.
Cass. What's up, man?
Oh, no, nothing much. I just got back here. So We talking about the 9/11s?
Yeah.
We are, and that's the first thing I wanted to discuss because I mean it is the anniversary of the attack, and I mean I don't know about y'all, but I was on active duty when the attack occurred. I had been already on active duty for a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
And I was overseas when it happened, and I heard a lot of people talking about how it was the first ever attack on Americans. But I had been overseas when other attacks had occurred on soldiers in foreign countries. So a lot of the hype about the attack was a little overdrawn, in my opinion.
Right, because there was the USS Cole.
Well, there was the Hyatt bombing in Kuwait City where 12 airmen were killed. There was the attack on
Lebanon.
There was the attack in Lebanon. There was the attack in Darmstadt, Germany.
That's right.
Where a Turk drove a car on base with a bomb right up to the post club and blew the club up.
Yeah, and that was before they had all those impediments. That, you have to drive in that little zigzag thing now. But they just drove straight up, man, and boom.
But yeah, I mean, I was actually in Darmstadt.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to help clean any of that shit up, man, or what?
No. I got there after all the cleanup had been done, but right after the cleanup had been finished. I mean, the base was on high alert. You weren't allowed to leave. We had to get special dispensation to go out to Dixie's and Bad Kreuznach for the New Year celebration.
Did they like do any kind of clampdown on the Islamic members of the military at that point?
They didn't do any clampdown on the Islamic military members because that wasn't even considered to be part of the issue that was going on. Right,
because I remember. Well, see, I remember, the reason that we went to Kosovo and, and blah, 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 et al., the whole Bosnian situation was to protect Muslims. Am I not correct about that?
Well, it was to protect Muslims from being genocided in Kosovo, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. It was also to keep the Serbs and the Croatians from killing each other off. It was basically the entire area was embroiled in like a four-way civil war.
I mean, when
people were just brutally killing each other in the streets.
I mean, I think it was like they had been put on pause since just before World War One, or since World War One had broke out.
Yeah,
and politically, and so when the Soviet Union fell, it was like, fuck, it's back on, y'all. Let's do it. God, that was fucked up, wasn't it, man?
It really was, and I mean, I was over there in Kosovo for a little bit of it. It was bloody, man. It was really bad.
You were in like Signal?
No. I wasn't in the Signal Corps. I was just forward operations.
Okay. I thought you were. For some reason, I thought you were radio.
No. Me and some radio guys have discussed because, we get talking about loading radios, and I had to load them, and I had to get the loads from them. And so, it was always a mess.
Yeah. I can imagine. Shit. So, Cass, I don't know how old you are, man, but, do you remember any of this stuff that we're talking about?
When I was a kid, when it happened, I was pretty young, and when I was in the military, when I was a kid, my family was in the military. We just came back from the job after their job was done because of certain circumstances that happened. Right. I'm not going to get into that, but I remember I was a kid, and it wasn't even a couple of months back home, and then this shit happens. I saw all of this shit on screen when it happened, and it was
Have we still got Kaz?
Yeah, it sounded like you broke off there. You said it was like what?
Oh,
it was. It really was, man.
Yeah, I'm hearing it break up.
He said it was a Charlie Foxtrot, a clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And you're right. It really was. the whole Kosovo thing was just a giant fiasco, and you throw in that it happened right after Sarajevo and I'm sorry, not Sarajevo, Somalia. It was one strung out deployment after another realistically for the U.S. military. And then we went right into the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and it's just like we haven't had any respite since basically the end of the Cold War.
And that's interesting. It might be a good thing to like maybe do like a show at some point about the timeline, post Vietnam, as we, go into the Reagan administration and, how the military industrial complex, because I think I want to say the Lebanese, the base in Lebanon that got hit, that was right before Reagan got elected, wasn't it?
Yes. Then we had some hostage situations in Lebanon. Then we had the Iran-Contra scandal.
Right.
Then a couple of years after that, we had the collapse of the Soviet Union and the pull down of the wall. And then we had Bush Sr. take over, and we had the war in Kuwait. And we had Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield.
Right.
And Desert Shield lasted for like 6 months. Desert Storm lasted for like 7 days.
Yeah. And what was interesting is that it reminded me of like at the end of the it was different. Okay, so I'm going to walk that back a little bit. Schwarzkopf, it was reported, that he had begged Bush to just let him go ahead and just clamp down and get Baghdad, and take the power away from Hussein the Ba'ath regime, as it were, and they didn't do it because of reasons. I still don't understand. We were there. We did more than decimate the military. In effect, I think we destroyed 40% of their really good equipment, like the T-80s and shit. That was the top tank that they were running at that point. The Russian-made T-80.
Cold War tank.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
The T-80 wasn't a World War tank; it was actually a post-World War tank.
You said Cold War.
It was a Cold War tank. True. The T-94 was what the Russian army was currently using.
Yeah.
Right.
But the T-80 was about 4 generations back.
Right.
And we completely obliterated most of them, mostly because of the advanced armor and armament that the M1 Abrams had for anti-tank capability.
Was it Cobham?
Depleted uranium.
Okay.
Depleted uranium discarding sabot rounds. They are actually the hardest type of penetrating projectile known to man. They're self-sharpened. They'll actually punch through tungsten carbide armor at 6 inches thick.
Jesus.
That's not something you want to fuck with.
No, it isn't, man.
No, it really is not. In fact, the only thing that'll really stop them is depleted uranium armor, and you still need 1.5 inches of it. Which
is probably not that easy to get, given it's depleted uranium.
Yeah, it's not really easy to get. We actually, our depleted uranium is actually disposed fuel source from our nuclear power plant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's about the only way you can get that shit, because it stays radioactive for, 150, 160 years, something like that, the half-life. I can't see that.
Well,
Jesus.
The depleted uranium only emits alpha and beta particles. All the gamma particles have been used up.
Right.
So it literally is fairly safe to handle. You just don't want to eat it. You don't want to put your hands in your mouth after handling it. You definitely don't want to breathe in any dust around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to use all of the gamma radiation out of the fuel cell rod, and then you can take it and turn it into a depleted uranium, either armor plate or weapon.
So we will have to bring down. Was it Iran? Was it Iraq? The Iraq War was a failure due to American technology and superior training, especially when you don't want to fuck with the Marines. That point has been demonstrated time and time again. You just don't want to fuck with the Marines.
Well, in Baghdad, Bob, I remember that once. I remember that day because I was watching the fucking news, and I'm watching this dude say that there are no tanks in Baghdad, right? And there was a fucking tank right behind him driving. It was, an Abrams, and it was like, holy shit. It was so funny. It was ridiculously strange,
When the media sucks, even before the not so mainstream media came in.
Oh my God, it's hard to believe it's gotten worse. Everything, it's like if you look at all this stuff, because of the way you laid it out, man, it's like you're really putting things in perspective, and you can definitely see that. Along with that, the response, the way that the news culture started mutating around all this thing, and then there's stuff that we're learning today about how the FBI was leaking out. That's the way it's gotten. As the deep state is now in bed with the MSM, and and it started right around, I guess, the time right before 9/11.
Right around 9/11, yeah, that's when well, actually, they really got into bed with each other under the Clinton regime.
Yeah.
The Clinton administration, right. the mainstream media, and the deep state helped the Clintons suppress the charges against Bill Clinton of rape, of sexual misconduct, of all of the different issues. It kept Hillary from being pursued for perjury.
Whitewater, yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. And then they reinforced it during Obama years.
Well, yeah, they changed the way they worked under HW.
Well, yeah, and the Republican-friendly press were basically old fuckers by the beginning of the W years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then by the time he goes out, they're all gone because they're all fucking retired and shit. And so it's been replaced by a bunch of It's really interesting, man. Damn.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up and let people think about, was the fact that this is something that we need to be aware of, because we've basically traded freedom for security because of all this.
And what did Franklin say?
Those who trade freedom for security deserve neither and get neither.
Where's the lie, though?
What do you mean, where's the lie?
What's the lie?
If you sacrifice freedom for security, you'll get none of them.
Yeah. You don't get security by giving up your freedom. You only have security when you are free to defend yourself.
It's there's where's the lie, though? I mean, you got people be like, we need to give away our freedoms to the government. Like, why is everyone looking into my furry porn search? Oh, geez, I wonder why.
Exactly. It's fucking exactly. It's misdirection.
I pay tons of taxes to make the government save me from terrorists, but for some reason, all my money is going for porn search results.
Right.
Oh, and don't forget hookers in Prague for Secret Service agents.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I guess we should get off of that depressing topic and on to one that's slightly less depressing.
Oh, yeah?
Which is...
I'm all about getting off. So,
so I've had some crazy people today try to declare to me that the flag protest and the anthem protest on the NFL is completely justified and is about systematic racism and President Trump. And the thing I keep coming back to is the flag has nothing to do with racism. And the flag was the flag before Trump and will be the flag long after Trump. And same with the anthem. In fact, the anthem wasn't even the anthem until many years after this country had been founded.
Yeah.
It was like what the after the War of 1812, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, because that's what the fucking song was written. It was the guy was at one of the great naval I can't even remember the name of it.
Francis Scott Key. He was at one of the great naval battles.
I remember his name, but I can't remember the battle. And he was sitting there watching it, and he had written the stanzas of the poem, and then later he set it to music. And I mean, this was people are saying, it's rooted in racism. It's like, what the fuck? That's just the most moronic shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking people, man.
But the big thing that I keep coming back to is, how is this country, which has sacrificed over 650,000 citizens to end slavery in its own civil war, and sent millions of its people to die all over the world, over and over again, to stop genocides, to prevent genocides during civil wars, and to promote human rights and equality? How is it we are the ones who are systematically racist still under this BS?
Because we're white, man.
Every time I keep hearing this, it's like you seem to have more of a problem with the fact that it's a white majority country than anything else.
Right.
And you keep pushing this, white people have power and privilege, so therefore they're racist. Well, where's the privilege? I mean, I was born damn near dirt floor poor.
I wasn't born with a lot of money to my name either. Almost certainly not. If people go, well, you're privileged casual. I'm like, dude, I've worked since I was on high school. I actually had to take jobs while also going to school.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got me in trouble at school plenty of times before because, it's hard to keep up with both. But, it's just how life like I did before,
Yeah.
It's the shit about my privilege. Well, define what privilege really means. And if it's about race, then you've completely lost the mark already. I think a lot of people have some things about them that are privileged and some things that aren't, There's something, everyone's going to have something you don't. So don't play this game of privilege.
Yeah, no shit, man. If they want to talk about families, old money and all that shit, it's like, of course, most of them were white because they, that money came from Europe with them, with a large percentage of them, right? And of course, a lot of them were slave owners. I mean, but other than that, man, that's just old money, and that circle gets smaller and smaller every generation.
Of course,
yeah.
Because it keeps getting pissed away, of course, because idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to keep money.
Exactly.
Especially in a country like the United States where you have to be doing in order to keep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few people I've talked to who were rich before, and I explained to them when they were kids, and this isn't a joke either, about what did your parents and their money on? They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, my parents were rich, but when I had to learn how to do my own shit. I had to learn how to actually understand finances and actually take on family business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the parents who are smart enough to secure their children's future also teach their kids, here's the wealth you have, but don't be a retard. You got to learn to keep that money. You got to learn to make something of yourself with it too. Right. Don't waste that money on frivolous bullshit.
Well, yeah, and not everybody takes that to heart.
Unfortunately,
there are rich people that end up pissing all their money away because they don't learn that lesson from their parents.
Like what was it? A majority of people who win gambling games and then they decide to blow all their money on shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you win the jackpot for the lottery and you spend it all. Yep.
Yeah. It's done that shit. Man, I wish I actually won the lottery, because if I did, I would make some smart fucking investments, you know?
I'd be tucking money away in precious metals. I'd be tucking the money away in different countries' debts. I would be, buying some real estate.
Yeah.
And then just sitting back and letting the money grow. But, that's just me.
Yeah, there's a saying with the first generation makes the money, the second generation spends it, and the third generation blows it.
Yep.
Just blows it completely out.
Blows it out of the water.
Out of the water. And then their kids are left, in a cycle. That's the quote new money cycle.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. But once again, it comes down to the fact that flag doesn't represent anything that these people continue to push on it. And even this protest is bullshit. Because we've got a guy, this Colin Kaepernick, and all of these NFL stars.
Oh, my God.
And they're all trying to protest this concept of systematic racism. Every one of these guys is millionaires.
Shit. And Kaepernick especially, man. His mom, he was a fucking crack baby. And his mom put him up for adoption. And these two really, really rich people who wanted a fucking kid and who were white, right? They adopt this dude and put him through a very nice school. He tries to, I guess, live out of both sides of his face because, it's
pretty much.
Exactly. And he fucking pisses me off more than any of them because he's had the privilege, and
yes.
then he he shits all of the people that loved him enough to bring him, to bring him up and give him a good education and stuff. He just shits all over it, man. To where the dude doesn't even have to use that education for his job. Well, he was a really shitty quarterback, though. I mean.
He really was. He was not a great quarterback, but still, he got paid millions to play in the NFL.
He sure did.
And then he wants to lecture me about morality and how I should behave from a position of extreme wealth that, less than 1% of the population in the United States will ever know.
Yeah.
And he wants to tell me I have some sort of systematic privilege over him.
Well, and that's what makes people like us so angry. I don't think people understand the fact that a majority of whites are really, man, in the lower middle class to borderline poor. I mean, that's the majority of the people right now. If they're working, they're paying their taxes, and then what they've got left is barely enough to live on.
Pretty much. That's one of the reasons I had to leave the left coast, man. I couldn't afford the taxes.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Apparently, it's hard enough to afford the taxes here as it is. Living in California.
That's why I left, man. I couldn't stay living in commie Oregon. The People's Republic of Oregon was taxing me to death.
Jesus.
All their fucking communist propaganda BS that they kept pushing was emptying my pockets every day, man. Every day.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yes. So,
you're not fucking wrong, unfortunately.
So now let's get on to something that's more in Irate's neck of the woods. Have you heard about this, Irate?
What?
A Georgia school is bringing back paddling of students with parents' consent.
I got 2 words for that. Fuck yeah.
So
just saying.
Yeah, so a Georgia school is bringing back the classics, and it is also allowing parents to opt in for corporal punishment of students who have created certain disciplinary infractions as a normal part of the school to help solve problems that they didn't have before corporal punishment was removed from schools. The school is a kindergarten through 9th grade, and they are giving out a consent to paddle form. Now, this is a charter school. This is not a standard public school, but a charter school.
Good.
So the parents actually have to request to send their kids there and have to get and have to get a spot. Now, the corporal punishment will be administered in a enclosed office away from the rest of the student body, and they will be using a wooden paddle.
Did they describe the dimensions of the paddle?
They do not.
It's, probably like a fucking ping pong paddle or some shit.
Well, I'm expecting it's probably about the size of a fraternity paddle.
Yeah, that's what we used to get, man. Especially the holes drilled in them, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For some reason,
I remember those.
Those motherfuckers hurt worse.
Oh yeah, because it's all that wind cutting. It's all that wind cutting they do.
It's like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Dude, I got it one time, man, and I said, no, sir.
They'll make you dance in your shorts and stand up in class, won't they?
No shit. Good God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you get hit with one of those, and I think realistically that'll probably be what they use.
Man, I hope so, because I swear to God, if you get your ass busted by one of those things, you will not fuck up again. And if you do, there's something wrong with you.
Oh yeah,
you got a screw loose. Some kind of shit going on. I don't know, man. That's like, yeah, good. That makes me happy. It's like, so, all right, you were on the left coast for how long?
Oh, 20 years, man.
Okay, so you're back where you belong in the southeast. We're not going to say how close to what or where, but all right, what's the first big thing that you noticed difference wise? You said, "Oh my God, thank you, I'm home."
The fact that somebody held the door open for me to head into the local Walmart.
Holy shit!
When I stopped to get something to drink.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That and then the Mapco I stopped at to grab some food before we headed on into the major city I'm in. I went in there and it was $5 and it was 4 chicken strips, 6 JoJo's, a corn dog, and a 30-ounce drink that was in styrofoam cup.
For $5?
For $5.
That's a great deal, man. Jesus.
That is a great deal, and I got that in a Mapco, man. Mapco.
How much would that run you out west?
Well, Kaz, you want to answer that?
What?
How much would a corn dog, 4 chicken strips, 6 JoJo's, and a 30-ounce drink cost you out west?
Probably somewhere around 12.
Yeah.
Damn. So I mean, it's over 50%.
It really is, and even though I had to pay sales tax on that,
yeah,
because Oregon didn't have a sales tax, I still spent less on it than I would have if I'd been in the West Coast. And those prices are pretty much good for Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Washington. He's not far off at the $12 analysis. It'd be between $8 and $12, depending upon where you're at.
Man, that is a huge markup.
It is.
Yeah, and that actually makes sense though, because of the, I guess, it doesn't make sense actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Shouldn't it be all the same across the United States? Because
Well, no, not really, because Oregon has its own minimum wage, and so does California, and so does Washington State.
Oh.
In fact, here in the South is one of the few areas where it has more states that don't have their own state minimum wage. The minimum wages in the South are closer to federal minimum than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, and most of the states in the South are right to work. So
yeah.
And
so it reduces labor costs drastically. Mm-hmm. And so that encourages competition. And then you turn around in the fact that there aren't enough people to work the jobs that they do have in the South.
Right, because I would guess because of the money amount-wise that's being paid, they would all tend to want to go out west just because of the numbers, right? The way it looks.
Yeah. But out west, you get paid a lot less effectively.
Exactly. That my next point was going to be. So you'll probably get, a second generation immigrant more likely to move to the South. No, it's like so you getting ready for the hurricane? I mean, it's like, all right, so it's supposed to hit North Carolina, but everybody that lives, I mean, from like Florida, probably all the way up to maybe, what do you think, over north of Maryland, maybe up in maybe New York, is going to get rain out of this shit.
Oh yeah, man. Up to New York is probably going to get rain out of this, and probably as far west as say Kentucky.
Yeah, I was going to say the military. I mean the Mississippi River. It may make it that far, but I always get the rain.
Oh yeah. So I've already got some extra water and some extra food supplies and some batteries for the lights.
How's y'all's power?
Power where I'm at is pretty stable. It should be fairly stable where you're done there.
I love that TVA shit. Oh no, dude. Where I live, it's Alabama Power, and if the lights blink twice, you're gonna lose power for at least 8 hours. I swear to God. And if it just even looks like it's gonna rain, sometimes it'll do that. But what it is that they're so goddamn lazy. They won't, trim. With the lines that are hanging off the poles and shit. They won't trim.
They don't trim the branches back.
Right, exactly. And so they'd just rather wait until they got to do it.
Yeah. See, Nashville Electric Service, which services all of Middle Tennessee, they keep the trees trimmed pretty hardcore. Yeah,
they do a great job. I don't remember ever losing power when I was a kid. Maybe once or twice, but that was
Oh, yeah. So during tornado season, we'll lose power on occasion. Or if you get a lightning strike on a pole, you'll lose power. Or, a winter ice storm or snowstorm that causes the lines to break. But short of that, you're pretty good with power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be fairly consistent.
I loved living in Las Vegas. I really did. I liked it. I loved the weather, man, and I loved the maple trees, the silver maples and shit.
There's actually a bar called Nash Vegas that I found.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's over on Donald's. It's over on where the Hermitage Lanes used to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a bar over there now called Nash Vegas. Seriously.
Is Elliston Square still there, man?
I haven't.
Look it up for me, please, and see if the Elliston Place. I think it's the name of the bar. Because I played there a couple times.
It's still there. It's still there. I drove past it the other day.
Oh, fantastic, man.
Yeah, I had to take a friend of mine that came out here with me wanted to tour around Nashville, so I took her down Music City Road, and I took her out to Music Row over by the Opryland Hotel.
What about Printer's Alley, man?
Oh yeah. Ran past there. Let her see a lot of the old sites, showed her some of my old stomping grounds as well. And, yeah.
Oh, did you go to the Parthenon?
We didn't get a chance to go to the Parthenon, but I did take her past Centennial Park and let her see where the Parthenon was.
Yeah, that's a beautiful park. We're talking about a really beautiful park, Cass. It's just huge park, man. And it's got a perfect replica of the Parthenon, the Greek Parthenon. I have no idea. There's a story behind, why it got put up there, but I mean, it is a huge building. And I believe it's got artwork hanging in it on a rotating basis. But it was a thing to go get stoned on those steps and then go play frisbee and shit.
Yeah. And my dad used to sit out there and get stoned on those steps too, I rate.
Shit, I probably knew him. I'm serious, man. I just I would not be surprised because see, the high school I went to was Father Ryan High School, so it was like right across.
Shoot. Yeah, I know Father Ryan. I went to McGavick, so
the old Father Ryan on Elliston Place. That's why I asked about Elliston Square.
Yeah, I remember when they were still on Elliston Place. They didn't move until after I graduated high school.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's now in the what is it, Brentwood? Fucking
Yeah, they moved it out to Brentwood. Yeah.
yeah. All the rich people live. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ritzy neighborhood.
That's right. All right. Well, reminiscing over with. Tell Dad I'll spark one up with him next time I see him.
Well, we might have a discussion about that offline.
I'm kidding, man. It's illegal here. We don't do it. It's illegal.
It's illegal.
You know, we don't recommend it.
I don't say you should break the law ever.
Never.
Never ever break the law.
Never
Understood?
break the law that they know of.
All right, so now we've got one more big topic to kind of go over that was a major one I wanted to talk about. So have either one of you heard of Crystal Mason in Texas?
That's an interesting. Yeah, why am I hearing that word?
Well, so Crystal Mason was sentenced to 5 years in prison for voting illegally in the 2016 presidential election. She is 43 years old. And so the reason I wanted to bring this up was because of this. Senator Sanders is claiming that this case is voter suppression.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, here's the deal. She voted in 2016 while she was on supervised release from a fraud conviction. She hadn't even finished serving her time.
So yeah, that's a felony.
Yeah. And she had been convicted of a felony for fraud. And she went and she voted even though she wasn't allowed to because she was still a felon serving time. And they caught her at it.
Holy shit.
So for all of those people that want to say there isn't illegal voting going on in the United States,
that's proof right there, man.
This is another example of voting fraud happening in the United States, and this one was in Texas, not Idaho.
That didn't even cross my mind, man.
Hey guys, I want to bring up something a little hilarious real quick. I need to screen present it though.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
My computer allows me to.
Okay.
Okay. Now, can you see me? See the presenting?
Yeah.
I'm going to present you. There you go, Cass. Oh man. Oh man. That is horrible. That is horrible.
She should have the glove, man, and then snapping the fingers and shit. Hey, Tim, that guy's horrible. You're horrible, dude.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
You know, I got a certain kind of humor.
Dude, man, it's awesome.
So, Tim, we were just discussing Crystal Mason. Do you know who she is?
Possibly the name is ringing a bell.
So she's a 43-year-old woman in Rendon, Texas, and she just got sentenced to 5 years in prison for illegally voting in the 2016 election.
How did she vote illegally?
So she was under supervised work release from a fraud conviction, a felony fraud conviction.
Oh.
And she voted while on supervised release.
So she committed fraud.
Again.
Able to vote.
Yeah.
So the person that was supervising her too was responsible too, right? I mean,
yes, they were.
Don't you think? So they were an officer of the court, or they worked at the detention center.
They were supposed to, yeah. It was supposed to be a supervising officer, so basically, kind of like a parole officer.
Right. Oh, okay. Dude, they knew that was wrong, man. They should be in prison too, man.
Well, they may not have been around when she went in to vote.
Oh.
It depends on how they do the supervised release stuff in Texas.
Yeah, that needs to be explored too, because I think, you know what, I think there's been a lot of systematic shit like that going on. Now that I think about it, it's like, holy shit, it didn't hit me, but like, oh my God, it's perfect sense. That way you let a lot of people who aren't, able to vote, vote. And then, God, that's so fucked up. You hear about dead people voting.
Well, you hear about the illegals getting in and voting as well, and the homeless doing these voting rotationals,
right.
where they bus them around New York City, or they bus them up and down the I-5 in Oregon.
Yeah.
Or you hear about in Oregon and in Washington and in California where they've got those vote by mail ballot areas,
right,
where people get 20 ballots.
Fucked up.
Oh,
Well, and then they turn around and say voter ID is unfair, when it's been proven several times that when you ask black people if they know where the fucking DMV is, they'll say, "Sure, I know exactly where it is. I got my license there. A couple of months ago. I've got to get it changed next year, or some shit like that, right?" So that all that shit is just it's all bluster. And then come on, y'all. This is evidently the left's attempt to fucking gain the lion's share. Yeah, the lion's share of the vote and control the fucking destiny of this country.
Especially when you read the article, the way it's worded, this is really about granting felons their right to vote again after they've had it removed. Now, I've always kind of been frustrated with this law to begin this creed to begin with. I think, going to prison is supposed to be your debt to society, right?
True.
So if you fulfill and you serve your entire sentence, you've paid your debt to society, yes?
I see how it could depend. I mean, we don't like giving felons back their rights to own firearms.
Well, yeah,
because
but
they've proven themselves to be irresponsible. So it becomes a question of, do we trust them to be responsible enough to make an informed decision for the law abiding?
Well, yeah, but a guy that gets in a fight when he's 19 and, breaks several bones in the other guy's body, and then he can never vote for the rest of his life. It's. But
he could then also never own firearms for the rest of his life. I'm not saying I agree with you a permanent situation where you can't get your rights restored. I like the idea of being able to restore your rights. If you prove that you're responsible, you just made a one-time mistake. I think that that's a viable thing, Atima. But I also understand that they shouldn't just automatically be reinstated.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying, if you pay your debt to society, we need to look at, rights removal and stuff like that. I think we need to view it a bit differently than we do right now, like culturally. I don't think it's something we would change right away. But, we have to have a decrease in violent crime before that can happen. But I do think that, like nonviolent criminals, the potheads and the embezzlers and stuff like that, I think it really should be reconsidered how we deal with that.
Well, and I mean, I would even be willing to grant people, who had a single assault on their record. Just a single assault, something that was like a bar fight. And one guy ended up with an assault charge because he broke the bones on the other guy.
Right. Versus like a recidivist, where you've got, somebody that's been in the system for years,
Oh, yeah. And
there's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
There really is. And I don't disagree with either of y'all there. And, Atima, I think that the big thing here on this situation, though, is that she wasn't eligible to get her rights back yet. And she knew she wasn't. Because she was on supervised release. She wasn't even done serving her sentence.
It was work release, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It was a work release program is the way they're describing it in the article.
Yeah.
Or in the article I looked at.
Yeah, and I looked at several, and the one I posted
incarceration.
was the best one. It's technically a type of incarceration.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're a little more free than you would be if you were just locked behind bars all day long, but you're still not. You still have to check in, check out. You're only allowed to do certain things. You're still not a free person yet because you haven't finished your sentence. the whole point of those work release programs is to kind of help people reintegrate back into society instead of just kicking them out of the jail and expecting them to go do.
Yeah, well, you know, our prison system is pretty corporatized at this point. It's too many people going to jail for things they shouldn't go to jail for. They're small crimes or things that, you know, community service would have done just fine for, instead of mark on a record that prevents people from getting employed. But that's a whole different topic.
Yep.
Well, and I don't disagree with you on some of that, Atima. I mean, I'd like to see like some of the marijuana possession charges that this country has go away.
Well, I think a lot of us would agree that fucking, you know, just making drugs legal and just, you know, having old school apothecaries like, you know, circa like, I don't know, 1870. And, you know, people want to overdose and shit and die. Just let them, man. I don't understand it. You know, people should have, you know, they have the freedom where they can, you know, it's like the whole thing with if somebody's old enough to go die for their country, they should be old enough to fucking buy a beer, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know, it just I've always fallen on that side of, you know, our freedoms. You know, that this whole and we were talking about Tim earlier about the Patriot Act and you know how it's, you know, we keep trading these freedoms for supposed safety, and you know, and really we're not, you know, it's not anywhere really any safer when you fucking realize that, you know, okay, less than 150 miles from where I live there was a fucking, you know, terrorist training camp. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're monitoring the phone calls of certain individuals, and the ones they're supposed to be, they're not, and it's all fucked up.
It really is, and that's because, you know, we gave up too much.
Power.
Anytime you give somebody unspecified power, you give up too much freedom.
Yeah.
And the Patriot Act was unspecified power. It really was.
Oh, Joe, I petitioned the hell against that thing. I petitioned so hard. I protested. Ooh.
Well, you know, my deal was when we really got to a point of where Al Qaeda, or even if you want to, you know, go back and just look at fucking ISIS, right? You know, once they were in a place where we could say they were controlled or their numbers were controllable, it would, you know, let's revisit this shit and let's walk some stuff back. They never walk anything back, and that's what bothers me. You know, it's always just a little bit more here. And now that the internet, you see what's going on with the fucking Great Britain is fixing to vote on this deal where you have to get permission to borrow a picture from somebody's page, or, you know.
Yeah.
The Article 13 thing or whatever.
Yeah, man, it's fucked up shit, man. You know, and I don't know, man.
Well, it's not just that. Great Britain has been trying to push to censor hate speech from places other than Britain as well.
Good fucking luck.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to end up causing them to have to put in a great firewall of Britain, just like there's a great firewall of China if they want to accomplish it.
Exactly.
That'd be the only way to really accomplish it. And so they're even considering that, and I think that's just insane because Britain gave us the Magna Carta, which is part of what the concepts of freedom that the Constitution are based off of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like going in reverse that they're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
It's a little disheartening to see a nation that was once in that field of trying to create something better for themselves in that regard decide to go and be like, fuck it, let's just completely revert everything back. Thousands of years of effort, fuck it, let's destroy it all. Because that's great.
Yeah. And of course, we need more communism to go with it.
And Islam. So we can back everything back, 1,000 years. Morally. So, because it's the right thing to do, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's the thing that alleviates the guilt. Now,
I mean,
rate,
this shit will turn my brain into fucking like mush. I mean, it's already close to being there anyway. But you know, it's like when you think about this kind of shit, it's just it's maddening. It's, you know, I want to grind my teeth. I want to throw shit. Because it's just people are just so like they're literally fucking sheep, and they're just sitting there, you know, chewing their fucking cud, and the freedom is getting you know, stripped away from them, and they're okay with it. You know.
I know.
It just
But here's
bothers
the deal,
me,
man. Here's the deal. The only way we can fix that is to get our voice out there and let them hear that that's what's happening to them. Because until they know about it, they won't do anything about it.
Right.
Which is why we're doing this show to begin with.
Right.
You know, which I'm hoping that everybody who's coming on here or watching this at a later date gets a chance to seriously think about the topics we're bringing up. I understand if you don't agree. Please feel free to leave comments. I love comments. But yeah, I mean, realistically, the restoration of rights for a felon, I understand a need for it. Now, I don't necessarily agree with you about legalizing all drugs, irate.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some drugs that we should remain illegal. Crocodile being one of those.
Oh God! See, man, that's why that shit's, you know, out there, is because of the fucking drug laws. That's my point.
Yeah.
You know, there
Well, yeah,
wouldn't
I
be
mean-
any crocodile if there was if heroin and cocaine were legal. You know,
And I don't have a problem with legalizing heroin and cocaine or even pot.
or even just like
shrooms.
a morphine. You know, it's like, you know, just make it like that. You know, not pure heroin. Just any kind of opiate where people, you know, can at least, you know, whatever they want to do. I don't give a fuck what they do with it. I just think that, you know, that these drug laws are a really convenient way to keep the prisons full. And I think that, you know, I think that law enforcement is kind of, you know, taken aside completely off the ball in certain places, especially in the United States specifically. And, you know, and I think that's all they give a shit, you know, is meeting these quotas.
Well, now, I do have something I want to bring up, irate. And
Please.
I'm not going to say this is for every situation, but I have seen a lot of this, especially like out in Oregon and even here in Tennessee. A guy will get busted. He'll have, you know, he'll have a pound or two of pot on him. He'll have, you know, 10 or 12 tabs of X. He'll have a couple of illegal guns and $10,000 in cash.
Mm.
And he'll cop to the drug possessions as a plea deal to have the other ones dismissed. And so you got a guy in there for drugs. But is he really the same kind of felon as the guy that got caught with a doobie in his pocket?
No.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's the rub right there.
And see, that's where some of our problems are coming here, because we got that guy who copped for drugs, and that's all he got charged with, and that's all that went on his record. And then we got the guy next to him that's got the doobie in his pocket.
Right.
Now, in Oregon, I don't know anybody who ever served any jail time in the past 10 years for being caught with a doobie in their pocket. But I do know plenty of cats that were in jail for drugs. I met some of them, and most of them had pled down to drugs.
Got you.
So I have some concerns about some of that, because part of our problem with our justice system is the way these plea deals work. Some of these plea deals are absolutely crooked.
Well, and in the state I live in, especially the county that I'm in, all right, so there's this whole game that's stacked, and it's everything in this state is there's supposedly, I can't remember the ratio, but it's ridiculous, lawyer to citizen ratio, okay? And you literally have to have a lawyer to take your shit properly in this fucking state. And that's just the way it is, man. Or if you try to go the non-lawyer route, it will take you 5 to 6 years to do something that will get done in 5 months. You know, that's just how it is here. You've got, so there's this deal. If you don't have a legal representation, then you have to plead to this thing, right? So you're going to give somebody $5,000 either way. It's either going to be a lawyer or it's going to be the state, because you have to go through this little system before they let you off, or you can just do the time in a cell, you know. And for, you know, lower middle class white people, that's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
You know, and so they'll give that $5,000 to whoever they need to.
And I get that, man. I really do. But that's a problem with how the justice system works, not necessarily how the laws are written.
Right. Well,
and that's why we got to get back to fixing our justice system.
Right. And that's a state thing, I think, because the state is just ruled by lawyers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see, that's part of the problem we've got here is also all of our politicians are lawyers.
Yep, exactly. And they write the laws, and then it trickles down, you know, and
and I mean,
it's just a circle.
And that's one of the reasons I'd like to start seeing more citizen legislatures, less career politicians and more citizen legislators, where they go in, they do 2 or 3 terms of service because their family, their friends, their neighbors ask them to.
Yep.
They go and act as the legislator for a while, and then they come home and go back to work doing whatever they did. Mm-hmm. But the only way to do that is to get rid of the pensions and to get rid of the retirement plans.
Well, don't you think at this point we could have it to where the representatives don't even have to move to Washington? They can do everything through the internet, through fucking, you know, secure connections and shit?
Well, see, that's where things get a bit twitchy. See, the Constitution actually calls for them to convene and assemble.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's right.
So they would have to convene and assemble.
So the only way we could get around that, like with what I was talking about, is through some type of constitutional reform. I'm not willing to give that up.
Yeah.
I can't go there.
But I think, seriously, if we got rid of the idea that you get a pension if you serve 20 years in the legislature, that would be a big thing.
Yeah.
And also doing away with the retirement incentives for legislators would be a great thing.
Yeah. Making them, you know, suck the same, you know, health care that everybody else does is a good idea too, I think.
Yeah, and then also setting up a law where they can't exempt themselves from the actions of the laws.
Exactly. Because I think they should be able to fall under civil, you know, because at some point, some people are responsible for the deaths of people, you know, because of what their actions are as an agent of the law. And, you know, if I knew that I was protected, I would probably be a lot more cavalier, you know, in the way that I looked at shit.
Yeah.
you know, I would, because I know my ego. And if given, you know, the freedom to do something and know that I'm not going to have to pay for it, you know, I'm more likely to take that risk.
What do you think on that, Atima?
I apologize. I was reading and got lost.
Well, we got kind of deep there. We were discussing removing pensions and removing retirement incentives, as well as the ability to exempt themselves from legalities for legislators in order to kind of fix the way our legislative system works.
Actually, I think they should be forced into the actual public pensions we have, not the federal union public pensions. I want them to get the same Medicaid that everybody else gets. I want them to get the same SSI that everybody else gets. Either that or you remove it and you give everybody access to being able to invest in the stock market and become millionaires.
Well,
one of the two. You got to choose. Are you going to have a government-based pension program, or are you going to have a privatized pension program? Something in the middle is going to break the country financially, especially with the baby boomers still being alive.
Right, and you see what the Obamacare's done.
Oh yeah. My $7 inhaler now costs $70.
God damn.
I know. It's just like my dad's gabapentin. He's been on it for pain issues for his hip and his shoulder. It went from about $75 to about $300.
Is that Lyrica? Lyrica? The same stuff? I don't know. Okay.
No, gabapentin is the generic name for it.
That's what is it Lyrica?
That's
I'm
for
not sure.
neurological pain damage, right? That's for yeah. I'm supposed to take that. I can't stand it.
Man, I took it and it made me sleep for 18 hours.
Oh, I won't even try. I won't even try. I don't want to know.
Oh, it's Neurontin.
Maybe that's what it was that I used.
That's Neurontin. Gabapentin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neurontin makes me sick. Neurontin makes me like, ugh, bad.
Yeah, that's for peripheral neuropathy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what fucking Lyrica is, man, but that shit is like, whoa.
Yeah, I heard that was horrible. I wasn't even going to try it after I heard some people take it. I
wouldn't recommend it.
Well, I mean, it all depends on what you need it for. My dad, it works for him just fine.
Yeah, see,
a lot of people it doesn't.
Right, exactly. So it's different people. It's just genes, man. Some people react to this better than this, and it's just it's special with psych stuff. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right fit for a person, and some people just give up. So if you're depressed, and I'm just saying this for everybody right now, and you go to a psych and the medicine doesn't work, report back to them and tell them it's not working, and be patient. And then when you get the right one, you'll know it, because you'll notice a difference.
Well, also, to be fair, you need to make sure you get a good psych, because there's a lot of psychiatrists out there that are prescribing.
They're just like mechanics.
They're prescribing depression meds for people who are sad.
Right.
Have valid,
right, exactly.
But have valid reasons for being sad. My dad was one of those that got stuck in that. He had 4 friends, his father, and his nephew die in 3 years.
That's horrible.
And so he got told to go in to see a psych, and he went in and he saw the psych, and the guy put him on antidepressants, and he's like, but I'm not depressed. I should be sad. I just lost 5 people I really care about.
See, all he needed was just a word therapist,
He just needed somebody to talk to for a bit. But he spent 2 years taking, antidepressants that caused him to lose time.
Well, literally, psychiatrists, now we're getting off on a little tangent here, but I'll tell you, they started off seeing people on an hour increment, right? You see the shrink for an hour. He would, do the verbal therapy and then prescribe afterwards, right? Yeah. And then the way that managed care started going, it became 45 minutes, then it became 30 minutes, and then 20 minutes. And last I checked, it's like 12 minutes.
Yep.
You see the shrink, and he prescribes something for you. Yeah. And what they're doing is they're letting, the psychologists, etc., the people that talk to the people diagnose, with the doctor signing it off is ridiculous. $200, $200 for 10 minutes.
All right, guys, I've got a Florida man here for you guys.
Yeah, yay!
So here I'm gonna present this.
Yeah, shrink. That would be funny. I don't know.
All right, so here we go. So yes, you're reading that right. Jail inmates using roach poison to get high in Florida.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nothing gets you off like raid, baby. It's the shit.
So Polk County Sheriff is warning about the dangers of the new drug that's gaining popularity inside the jail systems. They are using Raid or Roach Motel paper.
I pulled that out of my ass, man.
They're spraying the Raid onto paper and bringing it in, and then the inmates are eating it.
Holy Jesus! Oh my God!
Yeah. Oh, so
what?
I just I just want to be clear for everybody watching our show out there. Raid is poison. Do not eat Raid. It's poison, people. It is not drugs. It is poison.
Jesus, I guess that's one way to off yourself quickly.
Well, it's interesting because I every once in a while some shit will remind me of stuff from my past, and I worked in a detox for a year and a half, and you see all kinds of shit. And I had a biker that drank. He would drink like a shot glass of antifreeze, right?
Yeah.
And he would stay fucked up for like 4 days off the shit. The shit's fucking. I said, dude, it's fucking killing you. I mean, that shit's poison too. It's just got a real sweet taste to it.
Yeah.
God Almighty. He was he was a real biker too, man. Big dude with furry hair, furry face and shit. Man, talk like this and shit. Yeah. Think about that. Don't drink that shit. It's green and it's poison. It'll kill your ass. Dogs drink it all the time and die, man. When people change out their coolant. Yeah, man. So be careful.
Oh, guys. So the Supreme Court of the United States just sided with President Trump in a landmark case on the mainstream media has not been reporting on. On behalf of Betsy DeVos and the Department of Education, Trump's legal team has petitioned the court to make America safer, starting with our children. In a 5-3 decision that wasn't difficult to interpret on the Constitution, the High Court ruled that public schools in this country will not teach the tenets of Islam or Sharia law.
Thank you, Jesus. So who are the three that voted against it? It's had to be Sotomayor and Keegan.
And old woman, what's her name?
Oh my God! Really? I would not.
Ginsburg.
I would expect Ginsburg to not have done that, but whatever.
Oh no, Ginsburg would have supported the liberal line. She does.
Well,
she has.
Chill, man. What do you think, man? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So students will learn about Islam and history as they do Christianity and all other religions, only as it pertains to the time periods they are studying.
Oh,
this rolls back.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
This rolls back the Obama regulation that forced children to learn about the peaceful religion of Islam so that they would be more tolerant to terrorists.
So, no Muslim indoctrination, right?
Yep, no Islam indoctrination.
It's about time somebody said something.
Yeah.
Well, it was starting to frighten me because, being a pagan.
Right?
Yeah, I knew it had to be bugging you too, Atima.
Oh, you mean an apostate?
No, more like not even human.
No, apostate, right? It's like exactly. Apostate has to been a claim that they're Islamist. So
no.
You're not even that, man. You're a fucking. You're an infidel.
Oh, well, worse than that. No. We aren't even human.
Yeah, we aren't considered human. Under Islam, we aren't considered human because we believe in more than one God.
In the world of Islam, anything that isn't Islam is considered not human.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. Those who follow the book religions can be forced to pay the jizya and survive and serve under the Islamists. Anyone who does not believe the book religions is to be executed brutally.
Yeah.
The common execution is disembowelment.
So Jews can live if they pay the fine.
If they pay the jizya and they are basically second-class citizens, they get no rights. Christians can do it.
It just sounds.
If you're doing the jizya, you're basically submitting that you're a second-class citizen and you don't get all the rights as a Muslim would.
Oh,
it sounds like a secondary jizya. It sounds like a secondary glory hole, doesn't it?
That's exactly why I just twisted the word there.
That's hilarious.
You aren't wrong, Atima. It basically is a second-class citizen. It's almost a form of slavery.
Yeah, it is. It's you lose all human rights status. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
yep.
A Muslim can take whatever they want from you. They can they can create new laws that force you to do things. They can force you to pay additional fees and taxes for stuff. You basically you lose all rights.
Pretty much, you're not going to have a very happy time if you live in a country that enforces something like that.
You're paying extra just for the privilege of living to pay extra.
Yep.
Provided they didn't just decide to kill your ass in some gang raid of some kind.
Well, it's basically protection money.
Right.
It is.
Yes,
it's extortion money.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I would say, given that you're a
extortion.
second-class citizen, it wouldn't take them much for them just to kill you.
But the premise is that if you pay the jizra, you're allowed to live.
Yes, but as a second-class citizen, that could easily be revoked.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, but the lie is that if you pay the bill or you pay the protection fee, the tax, you'll live.
Yeah.
Now,
That's the lie. It's like extortion. It's
It is.
codified in their book.
when it comes down to the Islam, everything is they'll let you live for now.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what the jizra is. And yes, I'm calling it jizra because it's funny to me.
Jezra.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear that that's being repealed, because that had been worrying me a lot, especially the more I had been seeing reports out of high schools and elementary schools where this was actually going on.
I mean, it's pretty fucked up that we had a president who literally would enforce the teaching of Islam to a country that's supposed to be secular, that was developed by deists. Really interesting.
Well, if you're going to teach Islam and you're going to let people practice it, you have to let everybody else practice their religions in the same public space.
Exactly.
That's the point of a secular state, at least. At least people have their rights to do whatever they want. So long as you're not killing people, you're not raping anyone, and you're not going around forcing people to pay your jizra because you're a cuck. You can't work on yourself to get money. You have to extort it from somebody else.
These are people that
goddamn
marry their
parasite.
cousins because it's encoured in their holy book.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. I lived in Saudi Arabia. I know how many times I come across, your Arabic neighbors, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, you see my wife? She's like my third cousin." I'm like, "Oh god."
Oh, your kids are smart, huh?
Yes, SMRT, smart.
Fuck me.
Oh, you mean my sister? She's doing all great. I'm like, nigga, what did you say about your wife being your sister? No, never mind.
Yeah, that changes the nature of sister wife, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Black polyester and lots of sister wives. Sounds like a great time to me. I'm kidding. Sorry, I find fundamental religion of any sort to be repugnant, and fundamental Islam is probably the highest on my list of repugnancy when it comes to fundamentalism.
I mean, it treats women like they're fucking just nothing but pregnancy machines.
Women like.
Oh, you mean a MGTOW?
What?
You mean MGTOWs, irate?
I guess I don't know.
But there's not a lot of difference in the way that Islam views women and MGTOWs view women.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of difference.
I don't know anything about MGTOWs. I'm a YIGTOW. So
yeah, hippity hoppity, women are property.
As I'm saying, when it comes down to Islam, the fundamental belief of men and women is women are slaves and men are tools.
And
men go die in wars and women are men go die in wars.
Yeah, and
wars
in MGTOW, women are giant fuckable children. Yeah, and in MGTOW, women are giant fuckable children that don't have the ability to think for themselves or perform any actions without the assistance of a man.
Is this why I see some MGTOW supporting Islam? And then
yeah.
Although I would actually like to talk to a MGTOW about what their belief on Islam is necessarily.
That all depends on the MGTOW, but I'll tell you right now, most of the MGTOWs I can't stand.
No, they're retarded. Most of them are really dumb.
And you know what? I just went through a messy divorce, and I can kind of understand the allure of going your own way and not having any women, in your life. But the truth be told is, I like women. I like to cuddle up with a woman.
I feel you.
I like to sit there on the couch and watch a TV show with them, or sit there at a dinner table and eat a meal with them, or sit on the front porch and watch the sunset.
I have no problem with an ideology that tries to encourage a level of self-sufficiency. To me, though, I don't necessarily think I would agree with the all group of this is this argument or shit like that. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have to worry about that because I don't really give a shit about women. Why? Because, well, I like the cock more.
Yeah, yeah. and I get where you're going with that. And I get where you're going with that, Kaz. But that, you know.
I'm urging everybody to become proud Yigtails.
Yeah, YouTubers go their own way. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Go to my T-Public store and buy a fucking Proud Yigtail T-shirt today.
I find it weird because when it comes down to ideology, I see a lot of people go, "It's one group that's the sole problem of all this." I'm like, nah, people in general are just shitty.
Yeah,
a lot of people are shady. Yeah.
And saying that one group is safe from that because they don't have the same this or that it's kind of retarded to me.
No, because all groups can become shady at some point or another. Yeah. The only way you can't is to be honest.
Yeah, it's a nature of human beings to be exploited at some level, even if they're not bad people. It always happens. The best way to deal with it is to be honest about it.
Yep.
Fortunately, everyone's just like, well, this group is this and that, and therefore you should avoid them at all costs because they are the devil. Okay,
yep.
What?
Well, you know what, guys? It's about 5 minutes till, so I think we should go ahead and chill out and get ready to wrap this up. So we're going to start ladies first. Atima?
You can find me at Atima the Hun on YouTube, The Tema the Hun on Twitter. I have a show tomorrow, I'm not sure, on Moonifest Destiny, NSFW. It's not safe for Wednesdays. It's usually sex type stuff. I think we're talking BDSM tomorrow.
Nice.
It should be cool. Ace of Skulls is going to be there, and I know he's into that stuff. I'm way out of the scene, so for me, it's going to be a whole bunch of Q&A.
Do you think I can join?
I don't know. You'd have to talk to them. I don't run the show. I'm along for the ride.
Okay, I'll ping Tyro about
Tyro
about that.
Yeah. Tyro or Lo-Fi. You can grab Lo-Fi and talk to her about it.
Well, I don't know I don't know Lo-Fi as well as I do Tyro, so I'd rather.
Somebody asked for Tyrone.
No, Tyro.
Oh, Tyro. Okay.
Tyro. The Blasian, not the black man.
Yep.
Tyro over here. I took the bottom bunk, bitch. No, that's right.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry.
Cash me outside. How about that?
Cash me outside. Biatch.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly.
My favorite part of the South is black women, dude. I love older black women. They are my
Fuck
favorite people to hang out with.
Set you straight, man. That's right.
Oh, them hugs are the best.
Yes.
And then Fridays, I do something awesome with Irate Prostate on the Cream Stream show. Usually Killing Joke is there, and Adamantine and Cass show up too. So we have a good old time.
And Trippy.
And Trippy Poop.
Yeah, Trippy.
And the Poop.
Yep.
And the Pooping Clown.
Well, Kaz?
I'm not sure how to say this yet, but I've been referencing this to a few people. I am thinking about making a new actual streaming show that I'll be streaming on consistently and making a possible streaming group with that. So I'll talk to people and see about doing some stuff for that. I don't really have a name or any of that yet. I'm still trying to figure that shit out. Because, I tend to think more before I do anything. I am making a streaming group, talking to people for collabs and shit, and from politics to animated video games, all kinds of shit. So I'll talk more about that when I can.
Yeah.
But I'm in the middle of creating something like that. I'm talking to a few people to get that started.
Sounds sweet, man.
It is.
Anything else?
Me?
Well, irate.
It's Irate Prostate. You know I am. Just opened the Teespring store. Proud Yigtail shirts available. Black lettering on black shirt and dark color shirts with highlighted by neon green, bubblegum pink, and yellow. So you can have an electric Yigtail experience. And Yigtail means YouTuber going my own way. And it is what it says. Be independent. Thursday's hot takes. We're going over Sword Guy season 2. It's really about 6 episodes worth. It's 12 episodes, 20 minutes long. Cream Stream 54. Suit yourself is penciled in, but I'm trying to get somebody for the back end in case. Drinks with Friends Saturday, of course, and then interview. The ice cream interview Sunday is going to be Big Fat Brian.
Sweet.
So yeah, you want to
Nice.
stick around for that. We're going to get. He's today. So
Yes,
I'm
he
going to
is.
I'm going to throw him some silly and some serious questions. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Brian is one of my favorite people to hang out with.
I think we will find out.
He is really cool.
definitively if traps are gay. We're definitely going to find that out for sure.
Well, Lo-Fi declared that they are today. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
The trap no
okay.
states shall rise.
Exactly.
as well
Yep,
as
yep,
the
now.
no states.
Well,
What about you, Becky? Tell us,
that-
what are you going to be doing, man?
Yeah.
That sounds like you got a great lineup. So this week I'm going to be a bit slow. I'm going to try to join maybe a couple other streams throughout the week if I get a chance. Maybe tomorrow I'll see if Tyro will let me come on in on the Moonfest Destiny. Might try to catch you on the Creed stream Irate if I get a chance. Next week, I'm hoping to start pulling my lineup back up. I should be able to start getting my normal week's worth of videos produced, but right now I've got a head cold, so it's really hard to kind of do video footage because I sound really bad right now, and I realize that. And I apologize to all my normal viewers who expect that nice voice. I don't sound right tonight, and I
You need
get
to feel
that.
better, man.
But regardless, I'm going to try to get everything set up, and I'm going to try to start doing my videos without the avatar, since I'm now in a location where I don't have to worry about walking down the street and having Antifa come after me anymore.
Yes.
Because out here, there ain't no Antifa.
That's right. Everybody's got a gun.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even feel the need to carry as much here in the area I'm at as I did back in Portland. Because it's a lot quieter here than anything in Portland. Even though everything's open 24 hours. It's just quieter.
Cool.
It's kind of a weird thing. Well, everyone, I hope you all had a good night listening to us ramble on about the flag and the 9/11 and what all we've given up because of it, and of course corporal punishment in Georgia, and the idea of felons violating their parole to vote illegally. And I hope you all join us again next week for some front porch talk. And as always, have yourself a nice night.
Night all.
Take care, y'all.
See you later, guys. Yif yif.